morning, everyone. We have a new story to read and understand this week. Juan Verdades, the man who couldn't tell a lie. Retold by Joe Hayes. Our objectives for today: you should be able to 1. Make generalizations from the text to aid comprehension or to aid understanding. 2. Use word structure to identify meaning of words. And 3. Identify the elements of a folktale. Before we move on, I want you to get ready with your books, your reading sheet, and your RWN. Let's start with our concept.
How do we demonstrate trustworthiness?
How do we demonstrate
Amanda is tired of always asking her mom for money when she wants to buy something. She's ready to start earning her own money by babysitting her siblings. But her mother wants her to prove that she can handle the responsibility before she'll let her stay home alone with her siblings.
Deal?
Determined to prove to her mother that she is worthy of her trust, Amanda performs her weekly chores wholeheartedly. She takes care of the pets and helps her parents around the house. Amanda's mother is impressed by how well Amanda does in her babysitting safety class. She studies hard and learns a lot about how to handle all sorts of situations. She takes care of the pets and helps her parents around the house. And when Amanda's mom sees how devoted Amanda is to her siblings, helping them and caring for them without being too bossy, it's all the confirmation she needs.
Don't answer the phone and be safe, okay?
A few days later, Amanda's mother needs to go to the store, and Amanda gets her first paid babysitting job. How do you demonstrate trustworthiness?
Don't answer the phone and be safe, okay?
A few days later, Amanda's mother needs to go to the store, and Amanda gets her first babysitting job. How do you demonstrate trustworthiness?
Let's talk about comprehension scale. You will find it in your reading sheet pages 422 and 423. Generalization. When you are given ideas about several things or people, and you make a statement that applies to all of them, you are generalizing. A generalization is a broad statement that applies to many examples. These statements often contain words such as most, all, never, often, or many. Valid generalizations are supported by examples. Facts are good logic. Invalid generalizations are not supported. Examples: most basketball players are at least 6 feet tall. It is valid. Why? Because I can support it with examples. All basketball players are better than baseball players. It is invalid because the word all is too extreme. I can't support it. Even the word better is a matter of opinion, so anyone can contradict it. Let's watch this video.
When you generalize, you make a broad statement or rule that applies to many examples. For instance, you can go faster on a bike than on skates. Or, skating uphill is always harder when you're skating for the first time. Clue words like all, most, always, usually, and often can signal a generalization. Watch for them when you're reading. Watch for them when you're reading.
Now, it's time to practice if we understood generalization. Open your RWN, page 211. Directions. Read the following passage. Then complete the diagram below by making a generalization about Jung and supporting it with examples. After Jung lost her grandmother's brooch, She wasn't sure what to do. She feared telling her grandmother the truth because it would break her heart. So June took all of her savings and went downtown to see if she could find a similar brooch to replace the lost one. She found one with beautiful emerald stones, but it was too expensive. She found another one that she could afford, but it paled in comparison to the original. June decided to tell her grandmother the truth. She crept up the stairs to her grandmother's room and softly knocked on the door. When her grandmother answered it, she was wearing the brooch. June told her what had happened anyway. Her grandmother was pleased that June had been honest and allowed June to borrow the brooch again. June realized it's always best to tell the truth. Now, let's analyze the actions of June. First, she took all of her savings. Next, she went downtown to see if she could find a similar brooch to replace the lost one. And when she wasn't able to find one, she decided to tell her grandmother the truth. With all of these actions, with all of these examples, what is the generalization that you can make about June? We can say that June takes responsibility for her actions. Now, can you make a prediction about whether or not June will lose the brooch the next time? Yes or no? I think no. She will be more careful about the brooch the next time. Now it's time to count all our answers. You may pause this video to do that. It's time for our vocabulary strategy. Go back to Reading Street, page 425. It's all about prefixes, re and this. Word structure. When you come across a word you do not know, see if the word begins with a prefix that might help you to figure out the meaning of the word. For example, the prefix re usually adds the meaning again to a word, as in reschedule, or back, as in rewind. Usually, the prefix des adds the meaning to remove, or the opposite of, as in disrespect. Follow these steps when you come across a word that has a prefix. Let's try. Example: when the carousel stopped, all the children dismounted. Dismounted. We know that this means the opposite of. Mount means to go or climb up. Then dismounted means got off from something. Now, I'll give you the vocabulary words for this week. 1. Confidently. 2. Dismounted. 3. Distressed. 4. Flourish. 5. Fulfill. 6. Permission. 7. Repay. 8. Vigorously. Number 1. Confidently. It's an adverb. It means with certainty and sureness, with firm belief. Example: She stood confidently in front of the judges, started to sing. We used the word confidently to describe the word stood. Number 2. Dismounted. It's a verb. It means got off a horse or a bicycle. Don Ignacio dismounted from his horse to greet his friend. 3. Distressed. It's an adjective. It means in great pain or sorrow. Donations were given to financially distressed families. The word distressed describes families. 4. Flourish. It's a verb. To grow or develop well, or to thrive. The economy of our country has flourished in recent years. Six. Permission. It's a noun. A consent to allow something to happen. The principal gave her permission to bring a phone. 7. Repay. It's a verb. It means to give back, to return, or to pay back. Her kindness to me is hard to repay. And lastly, vigorously. It's an adverb. With great strength or energy. Apply vigorously on the affected area. Now, let's try if you understood the words. We will just match the words and the meanings by making a line. Now, you may pause this video to answer this. Let's answer. Number 1, flourish. The answer is D. To grow or develop well. 2. Confidently. It means with certainty. 3. Dismounted. A. Got off a horse. 4. Permission. C. A consent. And finally, fulfill. B. To cause to happen. I hope you get them all correct. Now, you may go back to your RWN page 213 and answer the exercises there. Now, let's go back to our main selection, Juan Verdades, the man who couldn't tell a lie. It is a folktale retold by Joe Hayes. You will find it in your reading street pages 426 to 439. Now, what is a folktale?
Fables, folktales, and tall tales.
To explain
what are
that,
they? How are they different?
Let's watch this video
what
to
did you look
compare
for when you read
folktales
them?
from fables and tall tales.
Fables are brief stories with a moral at the end. The main characters are often animals which represent human qualities, like Aesop's fables, the tortoise and the hare, and the fox and the crow. Folk tales are old stories that have been told and retold from generation to generation. They have no identifiable author. They tend to revolve around universal themes and reveal cultural values. They also will probably communicate a moral or lesson. So what's the difference? Fables are short and feature animals, whereas folk tales started as oral traditions and feature people. Both of them will teach a moral. And then there were tall tales. The main character is a hero described as being extraordinary. His or her abilities are exaggerated in order to engage the reader in entertainment. So what do they all have in common? They're traditional stories. They highlight positive human qualities, and they reveal cultural values. Happy reading. So what do they all have in common? They're traditional stories. They highlight positive qualities, and they reveal cultural values. Happy reading.
Well, that's all for today. If you have other questions, let's go back to biology. Thank you for watching. Let's continue to learn about our men's selection in Schoology platform. Good luck!